What is the best way to view photography? In this edition of Jules Voto's Photo Focus, I'm going to give you my view on what is the best way to view photographic images. And it's just my opinion. You may have a different opinion. There are just so many ways to view photography today. So I'm just going to go through what I think are the best ways. And in the comments below, I'd like to hear your opinion, what you think is the best way. You may disagree with me, and that's fine. It's just my opinion. So first, for black and white photography. And when I think of black and white photography, when I think of the great photographs, the great photographers, I think black and white. I know there's a lot of great color photography today and has been for quite a while, but I think of the masters, Ansel Adams, W. Eugene Smith, Edward Weston. They shot black and white. And when I first got interested in 1970, I was making black and white prints in my home darkroom, and I was using fiber-based paper. And RC paper, I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but eventually I started making prints on RC paper, especially when I worked for a newspaper, because I needed to produce them quickly. But fiber-based prints, in my opinion, are the best way to view black and white photography. Now, here are a few old prints, and unfortunately, you just can't tell the difference much in a YouTube video or online, but the paper is heavier. It's actually, I used to print on double weight paper. It takes longer to process fiber-based prints than it does RC prints. You must fix them longer, 5 to 10 minutes, and unless you use some type of clearing agent, you have to wash them for an hour, and then the drying process is more involved. With RC prints, you just basically squeegee them off and you just lay them out to dry, and they dry pretty flat. Fiber-based prints, what I used to do, I used to use F-surface paper, the glossy finish paper, but I dried them with photo blotters and would stack 3 blotters, put some prints down. I think they were like 16 by 20 in size, so I could put 4 8 by 10s, add another 3 blotters, put 4 more prints down, another 3, and so forth and so on. Then after an hour or so, I would change the blotters, stacks of 2 blotters, 2 blotters, 4 prints, 2 more blotters, and so forth and so on. Put some weight on it, and the next day, those prints would be dry, and they would dry pretty flat. You could see a little curve to this, and this is a print that I made in the 70s of some lifeguard boats in Wildwood, New Jersey. And here's another one. Dried the same way, stays pretty flat, and I would use, in a lot of cases, I would mount my better pictures. I would mount them on double weight mount board. But that, in my opinion, is the best way to view black and white photography. Now, if you want to see really good, high quality black and white prints, see if there's a gallery nearby that has some original Ansel Adams prints. First time I saw Ansel's work in person, I was just blown away. I was always a fan of Ansel Adams, but until I saw his prints in person, it made me realize just how great a photographer and printer he was. You know, they look fine in a good magazine or a photo book. The printing process does a pretty good job, but nothing beats seeing one of those prints in person. Another photographer whose work I recommend, if you can see it in a gallery, please go look at it, is W. Eugene Smith. He was an excellent printmaker. He would spend hours in the darkroom. And what he would do was he would set up a record player, and I think he played like classical music. And he had a bottle of scotch. So he'd be listening to his music, drinking his scotch, and produce just unbelievable prints. So if you get that opportunity, and not just those two photographers, but any of the great photographers, Edward Weston, there's a whole list of them. Look at the original prints if you want to see really good black and white printing. Okay, so now what about color photography? When I first got interested in photography, as I said, I shot black and white, and within a short period of time, I started shooting Kodachrome, and then I bought a slide projector, and I just feel to this day that that is the best way to view color photography. Projected large on a good screen in a dark room, projected big. Now, not all images will work big, they gotta be sharp, but in focus, but they just look great on a big screen. Now think about movies. You know, we go to the movie theater and watch a movie in a dark theater on a huge screen, and then we come home and, you know, we could watch a movie on our televisions. And the TVs today are great, much better than the televisions that were around when I was growing up. But the experience of seeing a film on that big screen in the theater, I feel, is much better than sitting at home viewing it on even your 65-inch color TV. So projected images, I feel, are the best. And I have always thought that color slides look so much better than prints from color negatives. Now, at some point in the 70s, I was introduced to Cibachrome. And Cibachrome was a process for printing direct from color slides. Kodak had, I think, what they called R prints, were direct from color slides, but the quality wasn't that good. But Cibachrome quality was unbelievable. It was a polyester base. And here I have one of the old Cibachromes I had made at home. High gloss. This print is probably 45 years old. And this is held up, hasn't faded at all, I don't believe. And the sharpness, it's the second best thing to a projected slide, I believe. And unfortunately, it was discontinued at some point. It's been a while now. And I really miss Cibachrome. It was expensive, but the results were fantastic. So if I had a print color, if I had a print from a color transparency, I would do Cibachrome. Previous to Cibachrome, if I needed a good quality print from a 35mm transparency, I needed to have a 4x5 inner negative made, and then it was the standard process for printing from a color negative. But that quality was never as good as going direct on a Cibachrome print. So in my opinion, those are the three best ways to view photography: a projected slide, a fiber-based black and white traditional darkroom print, or a Cibachrome. Now, Cibachrome is gone, so, you know, forget Cibachrome. So what about inkjet prints? I had an Epson 4800 17-inch inkjet printer that used pigment inks, which are better than dye-based inks because they are far more permanent. There are so many different papers available for inkjet. I used to print for some of my clients on Ilford Gallery Pearl. It kind of resembled fiber-based paper dried using the blotter method. It didn't have a high gloss. I guess you could call it a semi-gloss finish. And the prints were good, but they, you know, just couldn't match Cibachrome. But there are so many different types of papers today for inkjet prints. So I no longer have that printer. It had it for quite a while, and it finally died about 5 or so years ago. And I haven't replaced it. Actually, at the time I wanted to replace it, but they were back ordered. The replacement printer for that, I forget what it was called, but they were back ordered for the longest time. Eventually I just gave up and really don't do much in prints anymore. And today, a lot of us, the way we view photography is on our phones or on our computers, and that's okay, but as I said, nothing beats a projected slide or a quality fiber-based black and white print. Now, I made black and white prints with my Epson printer, but the blacks were never that good. It just couldn't compare to the traditional darkroom prints. So I'd like to hear your opinion. I know many of you probably have inkjet printers. What type of paper do you use? What printers are you using? I know probably two of the best are the Epsons and the Canons. So I'd like to hear your story on inkjet prints. One of the problems I had with the 4800, the Epson 4800, was unless I used it a lot, the nozzles would clog and you would have to run a cleaning cycle, and that cleaning cycle would use a lot of ink. So it got to be expensive, and the ink cartridges were expensive. And today I know they have improved those printers, but I still read about people having issues with clogged nozzles. So if you have one of those printers, if you have one of the Epsons or the Canons, let me know that too. Are you having issues with it? Are you printing a lot? Are you if you let it sit for a month or so, then go to print, do you have to run a cleaning cycle? And what papers are you using? There are just so many, as I said before, there are just so many different inkjet papers. And if you use a printer with those pigment inks, the prints are going to last long, comparable to traditional photographic prints. So that's about it for this video. Leave your comments in the comments below. And if you have any questions, leave them there as well. I usually try to respond to all questions and all comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I publish a new video every Monday morning and Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So I will talk to you then.